You need cool new terrain for your tabletop wargame, like Warhammer Kill Team? You own or have access to a 3D printer? Then the next minutes might be interesting for you. I will show you how to paint these ruins quickly and easily. And they will look great on your gaming board. So let's get started. I found these cool looking ruins on Thingiverse. So let's download everything and move on to the next step. I personally like to load all 3D files into Microsoft 3D Builder and check if there are possible errors within the model itself. Some slicers don't seem to recognize minor errors and those don't offer to repair the files. So just click the repair button, wait a few seconds or maybe minutes, hit on save and go on to the next step. I don't want to go too deep into the slicer settings at this point, as this would probably require a separate video. In this case I use Cura as slicer, and to keep it short I set the layer height to 0.2 mm. This generates enough detail in relation to the print time. I printed everything on a Ender 3 V2, but have since switched to a Bambulab P1P. Unfortunately I don't have any shots of the spraying. But in the end I just primed everything first with black, and while it was still wet I dusted everything over with a gunmetal paint, like this paint from Vallejo. So here we have a slightly larger terrain piece, how it looks after priming. And this is how the parts will look after just one coat of paint applied. Pretty cool, right? So the first color I used is the contrast color Flashed here as red from Citadel. But of course you can also use any other color. It's totally up to you. Give it a good shake and let's begin. I applied the paint to all the flat surfaces and the pillars. However, not on these metal parts in the middle and the bottom. At this point I would like to apologize for the partly bad camera work. I'm working on it to improve this. I swear it. Maybe you noticed for this project I used a cheap synthetic brush. The layer lines of the print can quickly ruin your brush. And for terrain you don't want to use your expensive miniature brushes, or at least I don't. Just try to be as accurate as possible. Here and there a small color klecks over an unwanted area should not be noticeable later. We will work with washes and dry brushes later, and that will hide the roughest mistakes. And this is how the good piece looks after this step. The next we turn on to the Sororitas sigils. For this we use only white paint. I only applied one coat of the white paint. If some of the gunmetal paint still shows through, it creates a natural weathering effect here and there. Try to be a little more precise, as I'm doing here. Okay, no worries. Luckily it's only white and we can just use our previous color to touch it up. So let's just finish our sigil for now. Also paint the outer rims on the sigil, at least at the top. And now have fun to reach the sigils inside. Okay, so let's move on to the next step, in which we will use a bone color to paint all the skulls of the buildings. Maybe I used a little too much paint here and there, but we don't want to paste up the recesses, so that the subsequent wash also has a chance to get into these recesses. As with the white paint, I also applied only one layer here. The wash will do the rest. Okay, now let's move on to the Emperor's birds or griffins or whatever. These will get a golden color. Again, try to be as accurate as possible. And spoiler alert, I have not made any mistakes in this step. And again, I only applied one layer of color in this step, but if you like, of course, you can apply a second coat or even more to get a better coverage. Now that we have all our base colors applied, let's move on to the washes. The gilded bird dress will be dipped in Ragland Flesh Shade. And maybe you noticed I still use the same brush. And that is it, pretty much. But no, there were a few more steps, but unfortunately I don't have any more clips because my phone died. Yeah, I know, no backup, no pity. But of course I will still explain the steps to you. Take a brown wash like Agrax Earthshade and wash all the red surfaces to darken them further. Let the wash dry well and then use a black wash like Nuln Oil for all the metal surfaces. If you want to know how to make your own washes to save some money, check out my video how to make washes. And for the skulls we use Seraphim Sepia. Now let's move on to the dry brushing. Use a slightly lighter red and do a heavy dry brush all over the red areas on the model. And then do a dry brush to all the metal spots with a silver paint. And that should have been it with the entire painting. Of course, you can add more decorations like dust, etc. I have added here and there some propaganda posters. Just Google for propaganda poster Warhammer and you will find it. I actually didn't paint the window picture at the one ruin, because I didn't have any idea for it. If you did paint it, please link me a picture in the comments. And that should be it for this video. Thanks for watching, and now enjoy some glamour shots of the entire set on my gaming board.